Welcome. In front of me is a OPPO A72, and today I'll go over an unboxing along with an overview of the device. So starting off, this is the box that it comes in. Fairly standard thing. Still better than what Samsung gives you, or Sony I meant. So just a normal box here. And here, paperwork, and SIM eject tool, and a case. That's actually a nice touch that you get a case. I'm gonna set it onto the side for now. So that's about all we get with the paperwork here. Just drop it somewhere. Oops. Then we get the phone. Okay. Now the phone is already set up for this purpose, so I don't have to. Once I get to it, it will be automatically good to go. We got just some cardboard, and in here, charging cable, Type C to Type A, just a typical stuff. Headphone jack, or headphones in general, so I assume the phone has a headphone jack, and it does. Now this isn't very common nowadays, so really appreciated honestly if the phone comes with a headphone jack. And then we have the charger. Now this charger isn't anything special, it's obscenely big for no reason honestly. It's only an 18-watt charger. So dropping that back in here, move on to the phone itself, which is probably the more important part. Now as you can see, automatically comes with a protector on the display, which I actually really like when companies do that. And we can quickly pop it into the case, see how it looks like. Now it does have these bezels on the case, which I'm not a fan of, but then still it's a free case that protects the device fairly well. Now with this case you can put it on the screen and you will never scratch it because it has these absurd bezels right here. Now when it comes down to gesture navigation, what I did encounter some cases not really accommodating for that. It seems like they did a fairly good job. It is fairly flush with the display right here, where you would use gesture navigation to swipe up, so it won't be interfering with those gestures. Now that being said, like just a typical case. So let's pop it off and go to the phone itself. So that's this device. As you can see, it's already set up, and going straight to the specifications, it's a 6.5 inch display with a resolution of 1080p by 2400, and pixels per inch are 405, and it has a 83.4% screen to battery ratio, if anybody cares about that still. So honestly, the display is just a typical LCD. Resolution is just a mid-range resolution. The display isn't blowing anybody out of the water here. It's there, it's decent. I would say that the 1080p resolution is just good enough for every device. I don't really care for higher resolutions. I'm not like pixel peeping, but then I also don't see really pixels. I do wear glasses, so that being said, the sharpness of everything on this display and majority of the others is just top-notch. So moving on to other parts of the device, we have, let me just quickly lock it so I don't press anything. So we have quadruple camera setup on the back. As you can see, this significant bump that is here. Now the main pixel shooter is a 48 megapixel wide sensor, then you have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth, and you also have a 2 megapixel black and white one. That's so it captures more detail in the other photos. And when it comes down to actually shooting videos with this, it will capture 4K footage at 30 frames, 1080p, it looks like also at 30, 120 slow-mo, but I'm not sure if it's gonna capture at 60, so let's quickly check that. So let's go to video and go to the settings, video resolution. So yeah, it looks like 1080p is also only at 30. and even 720s at 30. So that's a little bit disappointing, honestly. Not really sure why that is, but yeah, like I'm saying, it's a bit disappointing. Now slow motion again has apparently only options in resolution and not in frames per second, which again I don't really know why. I'm pretty sure I would prefer to have more choice over the slow motion and how quick it is rather than the resolution that it comes in. But yeah, honestly the more baffling is the video resolution at normal recording. If it has 4K 30, I don't really see a reason why it doesn't come with a 1080p 60. That would have been a really good addition to this device, honestly. Now while we have the camera open, let's pop my amazing props here. The shark and the ghost. Let's place them from, there we go, now they're standing. So I'm gonna capture a couple photos with this phone just so we can see how well it handles. So that is apparently a macro lens, which you can see right over here, which one it is using for this. I'm not sure how close I can get for it to be sharp. So it looks like right over here. So the macro lens isn't necessarily the greatest comparing to odd ones. You do have to get quite far, as you can see, right about like that far, which let me quickly bring my own phone and just get a brief comparison. So on my device, which is the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, I can get like right up there. As you can see, this is basically right next to the sensor. As we can compare it, here, this is the macro. I just exit. There we go. Let's allow this stuff. So I'll quickly move this out of the way. So this is an actual macro lens. As you can see, this thing basically captures every imperfection. This is this isn't really a macro, I would say. This is more like a normal photo, honestly. So let me quickly check it because it does seem a little bit off in this case. More. So it looks like there is no option to enable it manually. So yeah, it is right now using macro lens apparently, but it's nowhere near. So yeah, I'm not gonna count this as a macro lens, honestly. It doesn't really come close to it. So just continue. This is just a normal photo in this case. And let's see how that comes out. So the photos itself aren't that bad. It does have, keeps the detail in it. It might not be the highest resolution, but at least it captures a lot of the detail that honestly a lot of phones struggle, especially in the red area. I can see like some grooves in it and just overall shape of it, while I've encountered more expensive phones than this one that just completely were surprised by this red texture. So the camera, I mean, it's doing okay. It captures what it's supposed to, but it's not necessarily the best looking photos. They lack something like quality in them, the resolution, let's say. Now, moving forward on, just to the specifications back apart from the camera, I will also mention now, we have at the front 16 megapixel wide that also shoots at 1080p 30 frames, so nothing really outstanding here, just a typical selfie cam. Now honestly, I can maybe quickly turn it on and we can see how it does with portrait and also specifically the hair. So it looks like it's doing okay. honestly, better than I expected. Okay, so let's put this, and from here, let's move on. So apart from the cameras, the device comes with a Snapdragon 665 and also has two variants of RAM. So you have the 4 and 8 GB versions. Now the one that I have in front of me is a 4 gig, which you can see on the back, so right over here. Hopefully it's barely visible, but yeah, there it is. So this is the lower range in this case. Now both of them have the same amount of storage, which is 128, and you also have the ability to expand that storage via SD card if you choose to. And both of the devices come with a UFS storage 2.1, which is kind of like a mid-range option. The better one would be the 3 UFS 3.1. I think it was 3.0. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, basically the newer ones have speeds of like read, writes, and transfers similar to SSDs. This is basically half of that speed, which a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is. I mean, it is a mid-range, I would say, phone, if not even probably closer to a budget one. And for who it is catering to, I would have to say that it is a fairly good device. And what else is there to say? The phone has a 5000 mAh battery, so it has an absolute unit of a battery in there for the size of this phone. Now, unfortunately, sadly, the charging kind of falls off because it only comes with an 18-watt charger, which for this kind of battery I would have wanted to have a little bit faster charger, honestly. But then again, it is a fairly cheap device, so I can't really blame them for not including it. I would rather pay a little bit more for it and have the faster charging, so I don't have to, for instance, charge it over the entire night. So with my device, for instance, I just plug it in, and the charger that they provide charges for 30 minutes or so, and it's basically more than half full. So for me, the charging is a little bit more important than the price in this case. And now also finishing off the overview of the device. It does come in different colors. Now apparently on the box it says that it's shimmering white, which I'm not exactly sure because how that works, because it has a couple different colors, and when you go to OPPO website they don't really have shimmering white as an option. And apparently what they have is twilight black, steaming white, sky blue, which I expect that this is the sky blue, but maybe the translation got kind of lost in the regions. And the last color that it can have is the aura purple. So I believe this is the sky blue, but I could be completely wrong, and what it says on the box could be the case. Actually, let's see if it specifies it right here. Nope, it doesn't look like it. Maybe I can get it on the box quickly and just quickly drop out all the stuff from it. So on the box we have, here you can see shining white, which obviously this is the farthest from white. Majority of the phone isn't white, it's actually bluish. So yeah. Now concluding this entire thing, the phone was released in April 2020 and costs roughly around $300. So honestly, it feels like a fairly good bang for the buck. Might not be the best option. I think there might be actually some better phones. At the top of my mind, I can't really bring up one. I've done different reviews of phones, which you can probably look around. But for $300, it seems like an okay device. I don't really have any problems with it that are super glaring and make the device basically worthless to me. You get what you pay for. You don't get anything extra, I would say. The device itself looks okay. It has all the necessary parts I would expect from a phone. I really like the fact that they went with the hole punched camera instead of a notch. I rather have a hole punch than a notch. The display itself takes majority of the front, which also looks really nice. Basically have the display and a tiny bezel on the bottom, or a chin if you may. Apart from that, you do lose out the fingerprint sensor on the display. You have it on the power key right here. And honestly, I don't mind it. I kind of am used to having it under the display, but this is almost as good. You either press it on a screen or on a power key, whichever way you do it, it will unlock it. So let's just put it this way: under display is more of a gimmick and just kind of like a fun factor. This is as usable as the under display. In both cases, you press somewhere and the phone unlocks. And just a question of where you press it. And apart from that, as you can see, we have volume keys on the left side along with the SIM/SD tray. Now this, I believe, takes dual SIM cards and SD, but we can quickly look at it. Oh, and I actually had something in there. So yeah, it's dual SD cards, or dual SIM cards and one SD card, each having their separate trays. So quite nice. At the top, nothing. On the right side, just a power key along with the the fingerprint sensor. It's a combo. And then at the bottom you have the Type-C charging and a headphone jack along with the speakers and microphone. And at the back, well, we already seen it, the cameras. And at the front we also have seen it, the display. So yeah, like I said, device for the buck is fairly good. Don't really have any major glaring problems with it. Works fine, as you would expect from a $300 device. And if you're looking for a mid-range phone that does what you would expect it to do, this would be the device probably for you. And like I said before, there might be different better phones than this, so keep that in mind. But at the top of my mind, like I said, I can't really remember the brands that to look even at, but you could most likely look at the channel and find them. You'll probably figure out which one is the mid-range devices. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.